Welcome back, everyone. Welcome. Today we will be covering New Semester 2023, the campaign for Part 2. So joining me today for this discussion yet again is no Cosmo. Sorry.
Yes, that's me. Hello again.
Yep, be sure to check his videos and other content inside is the link to the description, as well as in the title. There is also RB Kai's.
Hello again, it's me.
Be sure to speak up, everyone, when the discussion continues. But yeah, be sure to check out his content as well. And lastly, Zalgus.
Oh, but I don't get any qualifying subtitles, do I?
You don't.
Yes, it's me.
Zalgus Zabumafu. There you go.
Lol. Okay, yes, it's me.
Okay, go check out his content too. Hi guys, trying the new format. What new format? I have no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, we're gonna go and continue this discussion with brand new units. So we will be starting off with Gurangatch. I'll be covering this, so let me just pull out my notes. Alright, so Gurangatch. He is a unit that is quite unique, especially his, more like only his 4-star, and that he is a punishment inducer. So this works a bit differently from just any usual punisher, because he forces the enemy's hand to actually attack you to trigger your punishments. So the way he induces enemy strikes is actually to bestow weapon change all to all the enemies on phase start. And that's a very nice guaranteed rate, I believe. And keep note, that's only for his 4 stars, 3 stars kind of a dud as a result. He also, on attacking, he bestows combos, so they will attack you several times. Unfortunately, this isn't all, it's just within his snipe range, but you know, he'll get a decent amount of hits in with snipe. And he can also apply that weapon change all on charge if he ever happens to get it for whatever reason. So, in addition to that, he actually does have some punishment effects of himself to make use of that punishment, that forced punishment trigger. So he himself can punish units by depleting their CP as well as their HP by 6 CP and 2k HP every single time he is hit at a 70% rate. And he is also able to, when he's at 50% HP or less, inflict a 1.5 HP reduction to the combatant as well as any of the enemies left and right of him. And lastly, he can make other people in his own team punishers as well by, at move phase and bestowing a special status that bestows a skill where every time they're hit, they will inflict 1k HP depletion to the enemy that hit them. So altogether that leads to a lot of HP reduction just from him alone. The potential HP reduction from this is when he's greater than 58% HP, it can go anywhere from like 6,000 HP reduction to 12,000 HP reduction, depending on if it's someone with combo or not combo. If he has less than 50% HP though, it can go from 7.5 KHP to 18,000 HP reduction, depending on not just what the presence of combo, but also if there's any units that are to the left or right of the units that are attacking. He has some other things about his kit too. He is a situational mitigator. I didn't really know how to categorize a lot of his abilities, so I'll just put it in that sort of role, where he has guts as well as immobility strengthening on arrival, where with immobility he takes 0.6 times damage, and every time he's hit at a 50% HP or less, he will self-bestow immobility at a guaranteed rate. So it's like, you know, he has to lose a bit of HP to start functioning it fully, but his ability to coerce the enemy to actually hit them and trigger punishments still exists even at full HP. He also has an ability to nullify debuff self and allies that are adjacent to him on phase start, which is quite nice because if the enemy is hitting you multiple times with combo and all the enemies are as well, then there's a decent chance for even quests that have fewer enemies that debuff for you to actually get a debuff or two. So some amount of protection for that. And lastly, he resists bind on top of that. But yeah, besides that, he also has a more direct depletion methods. Besides his punishment method, where the enemy hits him and he depletes HP and CP, he's also able to do it on attack as well. Whenever he is attacking, he'll remove 20 CP as well as 1200 HP, and on charge he also has something like that where he reduces 10 CP and 1500 HP. So yeah, those are more the minor roles in terms of his initiating depletion role and his situational mitigation. Primarily, you'll just want to use them for the very big and spicy move of forcing the enemy to hit you, all the enemies to hit you several times, every single one of your units. So the neat thing about him, I think, is that he's able to make a lot of units that are strong in their niche, but the niche being itself not very common. It's kind of widening the niche of units that are strong in principle when they're hit. Now, obviously, that's not too relevant if the enemy can't hit you because of the small range, but completely changes up that game to make some units able to hit you, even from a distance. So there's way too many units to even talk about, really. But I can boil it down to a few that I would highly recommend. I might be missing a few, but essentially, here's a handful. If you're going for HP depletion strategies, since he already has some HP depletion built into his own kit, as well as bestowing that ability to his allies, you may also want to add on top of that with other HP depletion abilities. Primarily, Zibania's Fashionista card, whenever he moves, he is able to self-bestow a skill where he, for one turn, will, when hit, reduce HP by countdown damage, or 20,000 HP, as well as reduce CP by 50 to the unit that hit him. Now, Incident, he also inflicts guaranteed Stigma whenever he's hit, so he does a bit more than that on top of that. So that's a massive amount, especially for the people that has been bestowed combo to reduce 40,000 HP. There's a few other units that also deplete HP, but it might be a bit conditional in terms of how many units are around them. There's Turing actually bestows Confusion to the enemies that hit him, and Confusion is a nice debuff that's usually remembered for its ability to restrict horizontal movement so that enemies can only move vertically. But it also has this effect where whenever the enemy attacks one of your teammates, then they'll deplete the HP of their allies around them by 1k HP. And because they'll be attacking all your allies and all enemies will be doing the same, as long as you're clustered, there's a decent chance that you'll be reducing quite a bit with Confusion on board. You can enhance this even further with Isaac, since whenever he's hit, he also reduces HP by a good amount at a 4,000 HP at 100% rate, at least as long as his skill activation rate buff is up. And he also inflicts Confusion to all enemies on board on phase start. You may also want to consider a unit like Horus, who has only a 3,000 HP reduction, but can also reduce that HP to the collaterals that are left and right of the unit that is attacking. You may also consider, if they're not too clustered together, using Smoky God, who deals a whopping 8,000 HP reduction. And those are the main ones for just HP reduction, but there's a good amount of units that you might want to consider for their debuffs as well. For example, Kijimuna's Kanon variant is... I remember him being quite strong when he released, based on, you couldn't just blow everyone up and eventually the units would hit you. But he does a lot. He inflicts bind not just to the person that hits him, but also to adjacent collaterals at a 70% rate. And he also inflicts break as well at a 60% rate at the same range to the combatant adjacent collaterals. And for his own team, he removes a debuff and to allies adjacent to him as well at a 70% rate every time he's hit. So that's three different things at a collateral sort of range, where he's able to reduce their damage as well as deny their skills and deny their movement and reduce their defense all at once, while also doing a bit of a debuff mitigation on your side. Other units such as Maria exist as well with their Evo. She can inflict Stigma at a guarantee rate as well as Skill Lock at a 90% rate. You may also consider Taurus Mask. I really should have prepared a slide for this. Sorry, these notes were kind of rushed. Actually, maybe I can prepare that really quick right now. But while I prepare that, what do you guys think? I feel like I might be saying a bit too much right now in terms of reading out my notes. It'd be better if I prepared this on slide. So tell me your guys' thoughts while I prepare this slide. Guys?
I'll go first then.
Jeez, every single time.
Maybe we should use the soundboard to actually
Please.
signal.
Use it appropriately. But
let's not do that. I think Gurangatch is neat for enabling all these previous when attacked or when taking damage units, because previously it was kind of hard or very conditional to actually get use out of them. You know, you actually have to be making sure key targets can hit you, or possibly even all of them, and that never really happened, and was always a pain to do. So Gurangatch just enables that by existing, and that's neat.
Is that it?
I don't know. Is there anyone else here?
Do you want me to join? Yeah.
Yeah, enemy.
Okay. Well, there's like a minor correction.
Okay, go ahead.
But I think you said immobility strengthening was like 60%, but it's actually 50%. So yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you said 60, but it's actually 50.
Thank you for the correction.
I'm not like particularly too thrilled about this kit actually, even though it's a really like memey after being hit stuff. The main reason is that usually the stuff that I test things on is like very debuff heavy with like with being hit. Basically it's the Clash of Outlaws. So I just tried like Gurangatch like recently, and I got hit by like Tetsuok's Crit Plus and like Yobu, like all his like nullify buff stuff. So I think it's a very quest dependent thing. So if you don't prepare for it appropriately, then it just becomes it might backfire on you. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Arvin?
You could run units with the buff reversal to immediately trigger it, because his weapon change and his combo both count as buffs. So those are some neat effects. I think Valentine Jacob is a nice pair for him because he also wants to get hit, but he can also.
I mean, I had that somewhere in my notes, but
it's
it's like even if he gets his charge fast, it's like thrust range. So I guess.
Well, his CS is. I thought it was shot range, wasn't it?
Something like that, but it's like
It's short range, yeah.
he's not gonna have trouble getting his charge up anyways, whether they have all range or not.
Yeah, but it's also for that board right buff reversal.
I guess, yeah, maybe.
You don't need to move like a defensive unit to like protect your team.
I mean, it does reduce the damage to basically nothing, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. Well, if that's it from you guys, I'll just read out my other notes. So yeah, you can look at all the main recommendations there I have for Punishers. There's quite a few, some of them better than others, depending on the situation. In particular, I think the Taurus Mask Evo is kind of funny, being able to inflict the charm at a 90% rate. So if you get that up, then you can just charm the entire board, and you'll see the benefits of that on turn 2 onward. Some other nice things to consider is actually pairing him up with Taishakuten, since when you move Taishakuten, he can bestow a very strong damage mitigation of 0.1 times against all range damage, which will essentially bring the damage even further down to 0. So Taishakuten, in combination with like Taurus Mask, I think it's kind of funny. Just tested out shortly before the stream to get charm on everyone and essentially make them deal next to 0 damage for the first turn. You may also want to steal the buff axe, as I feel like one of you have already mentioned. You have a few options for it. It's up to you whether you consider that worth it or not, since we already have Summer Oz. But in the very least, when you steal it back, it lasts for 3 turns rather than Oz's 1 turn, which can be good. Didn't you have some comments on that, Harvey, before the stream began? Did you want to elaborate on it now?
Oh yeah, you can use Hote and maybe even Goemon to steal back all range for your team. And this lasts the whole 3 turns instead of like 1 turn with Summer Oz. And you'll miss out on the Ardor, but who really cares about that? So that's an idea for you, sandboxing goblins.
Yeah. So I think just Milk's right in that they might not be like relevant for most quests or something like that. But I appreciate Gurangatch just because he enables a lot of playstyles from a lot of units that have long been forgotten just because, their like area of expertise of being hit was just not relevant at all. Now it's a lot more accessible, and so a lot of these names you can see on this list are not names you often see as a result, and I can at least appreciate that fact that he brings, just a whole bunch of synergies, like a half the cast or something like that. But yeah, those are all my thoughts on this, and if that's all your thoughts on this too, then should I read up the comments, or does anyone else have anything else to say?
Kind of listed all the units already.
Okay.
It's another croc. You get a crocodile.
Oh, you mean like with Huster? Yeah, it's kind of surprisingly.
There's kind of a lizard, but yeah. There's like scalies existing.
I
Yeah,
think Houster's a bit too smooth.
I mean, he's like, Kasuga territory. In fact, they're both old ones, so that makes sense. So, they've always been reptile adjacent.
The other advantage of using Hote here is that you can also give all range to Gurangatch, so he'll be able to afflict every enemy with combo and skill lock, potentially.
Oh yeah!
So that's kind of funny.
So to actually enhance Gurangatch's forced punishment thing. Yeah, that's a good idea. I was thinking, man, you'd have to bring fucking Oz to make them work, but at that point, Oz is already strong for other things. But, Hote can make it work to just make it last a bit longer and then have someone else move for the subsequent turns. That is a good point. But if that's it, then I'm gonna go ahead and read the comments. Alright. Yo, Xenu and on the island. Good to see you guys. Hey yo, I'm probably not going to be able to stay long, but I at least wanted to pop in and say hi. Always good to see you, Jean Rare. Hey, yeah, Gurangatch is good for units that want to get hit, or for that Dagon Tanga AR that deals damage when hit. That AR also apparently heals you when you're hit, but not when you reach 0 HP. It's very bizarre. That was a joke, by the way. Okay, yeah, that is a good joke, since the rate of that isn't great. I have it in my notes, but it wasn't in my final short list of things I wanted to share. Yeah, he's pretty cute. In the very least, he looks quite scaly. I feel like a lot of the quote-unquote scalies in Housamo don't really emphasize their scaly nature, like what's called. Even among the true ones like Makara and Ophion, you don't really get a chance to see their sort of hide patterns, but it's much more prominent in Gurangatch, and I appreciate that. The new tank meta is here, and he's Q attack. He certainly is. Like, seriously, consider bringing Taishakuten with what's called Gurangatch, just because their defense multiplier together would be 0.1 times, and that's just as strong as Doubt is, except you can get it at a guaranteed rate, so I think that is something to definitely consider to enter a new sort of era for strong tanking. OMG, I realized that 2 of these units make base OG Oz viable. Kind of, I did have Oz in my kit too, or my notes, but I mean, it reduces the damage. I guess if you want Oz to do his thing where he gets hit and has this berserk strength thing or whatever it was, then sure. The Housamo birds are also well drawn. I would say Horus, maybe just Horus. I don't like Thunderbirds, so anyway, that's it for Reach.
Seamog.
Who? Oh, Seamog. Right. He's alright. I like his style. I don't know if I like his bear appearance, but his style is pretty cool. Anyways, we will move on to the next topic. So the next topic is going to be Amduscias, otherwise known as Ducey. This will be covered by Housamo. Go ahead when you're ready.
Okay. This is one of the 5 stars on this banner. And unfortunately, I don't think he's very great to use. So let's go over his skills. The first part is that he applies Vigor and Glint to himself, which is fine. He has this flat damage after attacking to enemies in this, like, ban outwards. It's not really that great because it's just 1k HP, and he's below range. We'll get into that later. And if he's unmoved or stationary, basically, like, if you don't, like, touch him at all, like, or try to ferry him, then he'll apply Vigor to the allies one square around him and give a minor heal. So, if you do get him, one of his functions is basically just giving Vigor to your team at a pretty high rate of 90%. This Vigor skill is actually kind of good because it also applies to his 3-star. So if you have his 3-star, that Vigor granting functionality at a 90% rate is something that you could use even on his 3-star. When he appears, for his second skill, when he appears, he has this like charm weakening skill. That's just whatever. He gets guts, and here he has this after buff, after debuff CP to self. It's 6 CP at 90% rate. It's not really amazing, to be honest, compared to other like CP self buffers, because usually the standard is like 10 or 12. But it certainly helps him get his charge quicker. For his third skill, he has these on miss stuff. Like, he decreases his HP to self. He gets arousal, and he has Mecha Man for some reason. So basically, before being hit to nasty. And for his final skill, this is where stuff kind of gets interesting, is that he gets this Haunt Strengthening, which makes his attacks deal 4 times as much damage. So basically, it's a crit multiplier. And he gets Taunt Healing. That's just whatever. He just heals like 600 HP if he has Taunt. He gets after moving Weapon Change Magic. It only lasts 1 turn though. And he gives Ardor to himself after moving. And he does 2 times damage against Dazzle. So overall, it's really hard to use him because he's a blow unit first and foremost. And you're kind of encouraged to move him to get Weapon Change Magic. If I could draw a comparison, it's similar to Halloween Tetsuox, who was also a CP buffer himself and was a blow unit that changed to magic. But Amduscias is Weapon Change Magic only lasts for 1 turn. So he really suffers from a lack of like range and mobility because of all the stuff that I just said. He isn't able to get he doesn't have a expanded movement to himself. I should probably talk about his CS. So he is CP charging a bunch, and for what? His CS is basically just a blow range CS, which gives Taunt to himself, Evasion, Crit Plus, and Dazzle to enemies on the entire board. So this is a really huge, like, low range nuke, but it's blow range, and you aren't really able to get much range off of this without external help, aside from like Licho and Tavastar for changing the weapon change CS. So what this means is that if you get Amduscias charged, you're not going to be able to use this weapon change magic anymore because he's stuck in his low range CS form. The unfortunate part about the CS is that this CS is not an any hit CS. Basically, you have to hit an alive enemy in order to get the taunt, evasion, crit plus, and dazzle to everyone in the entire board. This means that, unfortunately, I can't test him very well because I have to guarantee that an enemy is alive to hit this blow range CS. But since the Amduscias is on support, this is really hard to do. So, if you have your own Amduscias, you can probably see this better. But if you hit an enemy with this blow range CS, you're going to deal a lot of damage because the taunt strengthening gets activated. He gets the crit plus, and he activates that dazzle advantage multiplier in his last skill that I mentioned. So overall, what is this kit trying to do? I kind of feel like this kit is supposed to be like this 2-turn cycle where you charge Amduscias to CS. He gets basically a free turn to his CS since it gives evasion to himself, and now he's buffed up with taunt and crit plus. I mean, taunt and dazzle to the enemies on the board. And then you move back to his magic range so that you activate the Ardor. There's a lot of problems with this in the sense that it's not as free as you'd like it to be. He gets shot down by any debuffs which decreases CP or prevent him from activating his CS, such as like darkness, or if the enemies hit him with a CP depletion skill. So that's somewhat unfortunate. The other thing is that every time I tried using him, most of my other allies just ended up killing the enemies anyways. So like, if you tried using him in the farming team, he isn't really doing much except like buffing vigor to your allies. So that's kind of a flop. And yeah. So yeah, that's basically Amduscias. He's basically an extremely awkward to use unit. Very similar to Jiangshi Tetsuox. His big plus point being taunt strengthening and his blow range CS is very limited. It's an extremely good single target damage boss killer in the sense that when you get the CS off, like you see some ridiculously huge number due to all of his damage buffs. But in practice, like the quests that sort of need that single target damage are like far and few in between, especially since farming quests are very big and mob heavy, that I don't know when this will be sort of desired in the near future. I guess sort of optimistically looking at it, there might be like some meme one turn clear that maybe Amduscias can get because of all his stuff, but it's going to be a tough uphill battle for him. So yeah, overall, kind of a disappointing unit because he's very strange to use. He's not bad in like dealing like blow range damage, but it's a blow unit for most intents and purposes. Okay, so I guess we should talk about synergies. For his ARs, he actually has a good AR typing because he's a blow range unit. He can eclipse that Tetsu Walk-on AR if you want to CP charge him more. That's like okay, I guess, because like his CP charging isn't actually that consistent since it's only 6.
I mean, it's consistent, it's just low.
Yeah. I mean, consistently to get the
Charge.
2-turn cycle that I'm talking about.
I see.
Yeah. Because that's the ideal to keep taunt, permanently up.
Yeah.
You can equip that lunchtime AR with Neza and Tetsuox that gives what is it? Extended Omni movement, I think. Yeah. So that might be a good thing to try to pull for him. He could equip the defensive piercing ARs such as the Varga Arslan AR or the Laughing Girls AR with Arachne and Suzuka. And he could also try to equip maybe like, let's see, the Shiva Balor AR so that he can get extra damage on his due to his CP rate. And I guess you can also equip the Bathbeam Pollux AR that gives like crit plus, I think, when attacking. So you can get that if his HP is low and you get your guts off. For unit synergies, I guess you can try to get Licho and Tavastar on him. Honestly, it was hard to test on my end because his CS would never like really activate when I wanted it to. And I tried to use Licho with him, but you need to also rig Licho's CP, so it's very awkward. Personally, I feel like there's some other unit that was just cut on this banner that sort of fixes him, but that's just kind of bad to have for a 5-star in the first place. I guess you could use Onsen Shalodl to buff him with crit whenever he decides to move. And you could also try to get some person who gives Dazzle to the board so that Amduscias can deal extra damage, like I guess maybe Kirito or Valentine Seth. But yeah, very underwhelming unit, especially when Oscar is on the banner as the other 5-star. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Milk. Yeah, I sort of agree with you about Oscar, but not just Oscar. It's more like I have the high pickings of all the units, and Amduscias really sticks out. You were talking about optimism earlier. If you want to hear optimistic, my copium is Amduscias being released is a sign that they'll finally release stronger bosses that actually need dedicated single target damage for once. That's major copium. So, but what do you guys?
Well, it could happen with chapter 14 because it's
I don't like that thinking because that just means that you will have more incentive to use Summer Shiva because of his stupid blow range CS.
But you'll be using Summer Shiva in a different way. So it's fine.
I don't really think so with Summer Shiva because you don't get the burn, I think, right?
Yeah, you don't.
Burn on students. So you have to like.
You have to wait for it to exhaust or something.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think Summer Shiva would be like too bad. I mean, Shiva stuff is definitely annoying.
It would be good if it was like turn 4, but if it's turn 3 or earlier, that would be ironically worse for Shiva to get that low range damage in. Just use a pre-Evo Shiva.
But yeah, I could kind of see what you mean because it's like a chapter 14 thing. Maybe there's like some boss that you just have to blow up. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so. By the way, I'm not sure if you calculated it, but they do have the damage value if you haven't. Did you?
For what, the CS?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Because I just see some big number show up in the game. I was like, okay,
fair enough.
That's big enough for most purposes.
All right, to contextualize it, we're talking about the one good thing he does is being a boss killer, which the niche is, non-existent. But for his boss killing damage, just by himself with no other buffs, at Sacred Artifact level 1, is a bit over 1.5 million damage. So. If you have someone that has themselves, it's a lot just by himself. But yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. Did you, Harvey or Zagas, have any more thoughts on this?
I'm glad he didn't spook me as I was trying to get the other 5-star who is a lot better. And this is all he serves to me. But no, I don't know. Being a Vigor bot who is automatic is really the most use I can really expect out of him. But then other people can do it better, like Yoritomo. So I don't know what they're doing with him. Like, you mentioned he's kind of like Jiangshi Tetsuox, but there's a slight difference in that Jiangshi Tetsuox's CS is a good range, at least, which is actually similar to something I'll be discussing later. But yeah, I don't know why his CS is below range, but it's just...
I mean,
it
honestly,
just makes it way too awkward to use.
That's his main damage source anyways. His charge, because he's not even that good of a damage dealer without his charge.
I mean, it would be nice if there's like a way to just change him to all range CS easier than like Licho Skivo, because as like I also calculated the CS and I got like 1.65 million. So like if you convert that to all range, then that's like 160, 50k. Yeah. So it's like
enough for grinding
that's
the mobs and maybe
good.
some bosses, yeah.
165k is a lot.
Yeah, it is for sure. Still, he doesn't really have utility effects like evasion piercing or anything, so it's like you're gonna be short for units at that point to compensate for that.
Yeah. The Jiangshi Tetsuox comparison is that basically I kind of feel like Jiangshi Tetsuox like feels better than him, which is like really awkward.
You know, I actually
and that's mainly due to the CS.
I tried
range, yeah.
I tried using Amduscias to see if he'd be a decent, you know, Valentine Kengo dungeon replacement, since he can equip the stupid missionaries they are. He couldn't even survive past phase 4, so it's not great.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
I tried to do like some solo stuff, but it would be like nice if I could keep him stationary at sometimes to like, you know, get the vigor out.
Yeah.
But I don't really see the like it. I could see the solo potential if you like, you know, get that 2-turn if CS, maybe like every turn CS loop if you can somehow get all the buffs and debuffs. I doubt it though. But yeah, it's really an uphill battle for this unit.
Yeah. You know who this unit would be good against? He'd be good against like fucking Chapter 4 Zabania or Chapter 7 Ophion or 8.
Oh my god.
The solo boss era.
Chapter 4 meta.
Hey, it was relevant back then. Those were actually hard bosses back then when we had trash units.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyways, here's hoping those kind of bosses will be back with Amduscias here. Amduscias here to save us from Gen 1 gaming.
It's not even a good vigor bot. You can't vary with them because he needs to stay still.
Yeah.
Yeah, its stationary is not a timing that I particularly like because it's very inflexible, but the fact that it's on his 3-star and vigor buffing is just kind of rare is kind of actually puts it sort of high in my book.
If you're doing a budget run, sure, but you know that's nothing to say about the 5-star at all. Especially since, you know, we have Tita who can give Ardor at a guaranteed rate, as well as concentration if you move him in the right position. Yeah, Amduscias is an okay support, and it's kind of sad that his support function is the most relevant piece that we have within him. So, you know, pray for Boss's future.
Oh, right.
Boss is 2023, let's go.
Right. One last note, he's extremely awful for this farming quest. Since he's like optimal apparently.
I'm using him and he can be bad depending on where he spawns, and he can be good because it's like I'm using him but I need him to spawn close in the center.
Can be good scenario
for the vigor, so I can give vigor and crit from Kershaw to fucking Pazuzu and Ryota, the strongest hyper carries in the game. It's so bad, but it works.
Is the can be good like a 5-turn clear still?
It's more varying. It can be a 3-turn clear, but it can go up to like 6 or 7 turns because you know, just Amduscias will spawn up. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I was actually able to swap out Rio to the Wizard Kengo. That's good. Since Kengo no longer needs to bring that stupid AR, since he can just equip it on one of the blow units we got. So that's nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have that blow range unit, so yeah.
Well,
Okay.
you could use Amduscias for your own. Or you could also use a Gurangatch 3.
No, I don't have.
Oh, I see.
Oh, actually, I think I have Gurangatch 3. I didn't have Amduscias 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bizarre that
Is
Gurangatch
Gurangatch?
yeah, his 3 is a blow. I don't know why, but there it is.
That's so weird. Like, he went from blow to snipe. Okay.
Yeah, he loses all of his utility was forcing the enemy to hit you. You know, he just becomes a regular punisher at that point. That aside, though, is that all our thoughts for this unit? You said your piece already, right, Darby?
Yeah.
All right.
I hate how I got him instead of Oscar because I'll never use him.
Boss is 2023. Pray for it. Let's go. All right. Yeah, we're done talking about this unit, so feel free to read out the chat. Look.
Okay. I think we stopped at Housamo Bird are also good drawn.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go on to waiting for a unit with buff reversal after being hit to enable some nutty stuff. I think that's Babylon 5.
She has
I could be
something
wrong.
like that. Yeah.
Okay, let me just look it up.
It's only if it is the case, it's only within a limited range though. It's not the person who hits her, but
Yeah, it's in that 2 diamond. Yeah, it's in that slash thrust range. Yeah.
yeah, it's not great.
So yeah, it's not great. Just another Takimoto. Wait, does he have Mecha Man because of the fact that he does Vocaloid related things? I don't know. It's inexplicable. He has the Q and Alp AR for another source of taunt. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Let me see what the rate is on that AR.
Might be like 40% or something. I forgot.
Is that
50%?
because I think that was the one that's on a 3-turn cycle, right?
It was on a cycle? I don't remember
it's-
that.
Yes, turn start, phase turn 3. So you have to wait to the 3rd turn of each phase to get a taunt that's from 50 to 100%.
Well, let's charge
Okay,
with them anyways, but okay.
I guess. Yeah.
I don't remember it being that
Maybe
late.
there's some other
Yeah.
taunt AR. Is there the Hombre?
Yeah,
No, there's
but
no
you need to
Hombre
get
Tez
hit.
AR.
You need to get hit for that one, yeah. I'm not sure if you can equip it though.
He can't.
Okay.
So yeah, that's out of the options. And yeah, I know that there's like also the mob agents who can give taunts, but it's so awkward because you have to move them to give taunts. So I don't really consider that as an option.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. He is kind of trash even for the big or on low. We have better units. Tez Cat League Polka to put in a direct skill comparison. Oh right, Tez has that after moving. I mean, if stationary figure. Tez is kind of different though. He's kind of like a mixed,
Column clear slash
Buffer.
supporter, something like that.
yeah. Because he has darkness and dazzle.
Yeah.
So, Puppy Corn at Milk Housamo, your throat good. Yeah, I'm not feeling ill. It's just that I ate like oatmeal earlier, which had peanut butter. So there's like a bunch of stuff in my mouth. In mythology, the unicorns are attracted to virgins, so a good number of the fan base must be happy. But I'm sad to say the just a dog.
Just roast the entire
Ooh,
family.
that was yeah. I don't really see anything good about this guy beyond his big damage charge and vigor spreading. If he could get his boss without moving, he might have been a nice alternative to Eflicon at least. I still don't think that's the problem. The problem is like range. Like you can't even like. I didn't mention Summer Oz because like, you know, his self damage is just so awful, and he's gonna be charging to his below range CS anyways. So
His damage is
you
only
can't
gonna be
even
like
do,
okay the turn after, I believe. Because they'll still have dazzle on the enemies as well as what's called taunt up for the turn right after. You know, even then, that's
yeah.
you're waiting for a bit for that to
Yeah,
happen.
but and you still have to do that, you know, whole low range CS thing. So I really feel like there's was some like unit that was supposed to give like all range weapon change like very easily. CS weapon change. All range CS weapon change.
I feel like this was intentionally designed as a boss killer. Honestly, looking back at a lot of the units for when I was researching Summer Oz and good pairs, there's surprisingly few damage dealers of the blow type. So Amduscias and Jacob, and that's like it. I swear. No, Summer Shiva doesn't really count.
Well, I'm gonna use my Festival Furufumi.
Not the festival
range CS.
It's not even that strong.
It gives crit. Okay, doesn't really help the moving thing that Amdu doesn't have any expanded movement. Yeah, he doesn't. Oh wait, why are there so many comments? Okay. Genshin does that a lot, 5-star, but release their 4-star support later. Yeah, maybe. Amduscias is hot though. Sad face. He's okay, I think. He could have been a horse. I don't like horses, so no.
It's funny how they keep on avoiding horses with their entire lives in this game. I will say though, I did just want to confirm, if you look up the page for unicorns on Wikipedia, I know, like, authoritative source, horses don't necessarily have to be based off of unicorns don't necessarily have to be based off of horses. All it's described as in original text, I believe, is a beast with a horn on its head. So technically, Amduscias gets a pass, maybe, sort of.
Okay, is this like the... Okay, never mind, because there's a lot of comments. Good thing he hot. One of his skills is even named Unicorn. Yeah, he has one horn. Why is LW scared of horses? Make him a horsey coward. Okay, I'm not gonna insert my opinion. Stationary is hard for turn 1 with random starting positions. Yes. They're scared of horses that talk since they might say misinformation about Housamo.
It's an inside joke. That's terrible. Alright.
I get now 3 or 4 instead of 5. Also, Amduscias would have been tad usable if he had better CS range. Yeah, if he had like shot range, he would still be doing like, what is it? 750, 800k damage. But that might have been a bit too OP. Turns. And I hate how his kit is similar to my fan-made Seraphine Housamo kit. Oh, really? Yeah. Did I miss everything? Half. Manifesting next chapter's farm stage will have a dummy thick boss on the front line, and the Amduscias believers will be vindicated.
Let's hope.
I need to check comments more before posting, sorry. Amduscias with a thighs gap? I could never. But Eidos has a horse. Eidos' horse doesn't really look like a horse, doesn't it? But he had bottom, so he doesn't count. Yeah, I was thinking that technically unicorns are just hornless creatures with one spiral horn for some reason. Okay, so that's all the unicorn discussion.
Thank you for reading.
A lot of people...
What's up?
A lot of people say that they want a horse, but I don't think they're ready for a horse, actually.
I'm not sure.
They just hit like this uncanny valley type of thing when you see them.
The thing is, they're not gonna be good for the icon shots because horses, you know, their eyes are on the opposite side of their faces, right?
Why the long face?
Kind of, yeah. It's I don't know. It could work, but even in general, outside of Housamo, I don't really see much horse art among Japanese artists. Like, I swear they have horses in Japan, but you know, it's more of a common thing in like North American art. What's up?
Maybe you're avoiding the My Little Pony fan base.
Maybe. Yeah. Man, you didn't have to dig that out of my memory. That was like long and forgotten Dusty. So rebraid that. Rebraid. Never happened. Okay, you don't have to read out the ones that just got added, so we'll just go ahead and go to the next topic, if everyone's good with that.
Yes, please. Away from the horses.
Okay, Harvey Kais, you're up with your favorite character of this batch, Yuma. Go ahead.
Yay! Alright, so Yuma is a turn 1 board wiper, much like Christine and Perun. He'll start the fight off with this charge skill, ready to go, and it has double scaling with limit and weakness. So if you got dupes of him, you can be happy because those really help his damage a lot. So his main strength is also his tenacity strengthening that he gives to his team, regardless of positioning. And this is actually like a pretty big buff since it doesn't overlap with like the more common buffs. So after moving for the first 3 turns of the fight, he'll gain tenacity for himself. So you can use this to like reposition him, but after that there's not a huge incentive to move him, but we'll get into that later. And after those 3 turns, he'll gain nullify debuff instead, which is kind of whatever. He'll also pierce evasion, which is really nice because this is something that Christine doesn't have unless you use Christmas Nomad, and Perun can't get it either unless you run like some AR on him. So he also gives limit 2 squares to the left and right on turn start, as long as his HP is 80% or above. So this is actually like really nice since the other first turn board wipers don't have a way to support their team after they use their charge skill. I guess Perun has like nourishment and that's about it, but you do have to move him for it. That said, his normal attacks are like kinda shitty because he doesn't have any inherent multipliers on himself, nor does he really debuff the enemy past like weakness and stuff. So for this reason, you kind of want to consider positioning him in the back line just so you can better support his team without like taking too much damage, and maybe like have a better unit on the front line too. He has this like lifesteal mechanic on hit, but you'll really only use it if you're like trying to get him back into that limit range. And he'll also apply confusion, so that's alright if you're like trying to kite and stall or whatever, but not really the main reason why you'll slot him in. Yuma has some resistances that he gets when appearing, that being Charm and Dazzle, but these fall off after like a few turns, so they're kind of whatever. You'll want to use him for like these shorter quests probably, but he can't like loop his CS like Christine and Perun anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Oh yeah, he also gets I forgot to mention, he gets his possession strengthening where you'll take less damage when attacked as if he has possession on him.
Very important.
Which is yeah, it's there. So overall, he's a pretty solid unit. He'll have a lot of usage for like late game setups because of his ability to board wipe, and he can also offensively support his team, like without moving. You can use his movement for the first turn for tenacity and repositioning, but you'll need to pivot movers because most of his utility is going to be automatic, and he's not going to be doing much if you only put tenacity on himself after the first turn. He might clash with like some of the meta supports because of like overlapping limit, but I think his tenacity strengthening kind of makes it for it because he opens the way for like other hybrid buffers. So generally he'll outperform Christine because of limit, but Perun should be doing like more damage unless he's like he's not making use of possession advantage if the enemies are resisting possession. For unit synergies, you might want to consider someone like Idzamna, since he can spread tenacity for your team and also concentration. And if he is placed next to Yuma for limit, you can also spread that to your team. And that's a like 13 times multiplier. Ahab is also a good choice since Yekat has this tenacity and a 2 square diamond radius after moving, and also it can spread bigger. There's also Oscar, who's an interesting choice. He doesn't really have tenacity, but they can kind of pop off on each other's statuses, but we'll get into Oscar later with Zalgus. There's like a fair amount of units who also like have selfish tenacity for themselves, so you don't really need to use a tenacity spreader if you don't want to. Right, for AR synergies. CS boosters like the Licho Ryota AR are going to really help him a lot, because even though his CS is like, it could do a fair amount of damage, it doesn't really match up to Perun. So anything that can like help amp up his damage is going to be nice. And then you can also bring like more utility ARs, like the Beast Tamer Gwen AR, since he's also a Beast Tamer. His 3-star version is just like an infinitely worse version of him, since like he has less range on his abilities. I don't know why his tenacity strengthening is like 2 squares away from him when you want to use him for like these wide setups. But his limit is like still intact in his 3-star version, in the sense that like it's at a fair 90% rate, which is pretty high for like an offensive buff that you don't need to move for. So yeah, overall, very, very good unit. I like him a lot. It's very cute too, so that's also a plus. But he's an acquired taste, I guess.
Yeah, I've never seen someone so fervorous for this unit besides you. I mean, there's a few others who like sort of like him, but you're definitely like full on for him.
I pulled a lot on this banner from our groups of them.
Well, you would need at least
like,
yeah, you need at least 2 copies of him for him to be stronger than Christine. Since limited at Sacred Artifact level 1 is essentially just not anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, congrats on getting him. I feel like everyone except for me actually got the unit they're talking about. Anyway, is that everything you have to say? Or should we move on to whatever other people are thinking?
I think that's most of it. I didn't have a lot of time to take notes, so if something comes up, I'll say it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's why we do discussions. Maybe someone else will say something that'll catch your ear and you can add on to it. So what do you guys think? Milk, Zalgus.
It just popped into my head, the dumb meme of if Yuma has 1 million fans, Harvey is one of them. If Yuma has 1 fan, Harvey is that one. If Yuma has no fans, that means he's dead.
Oh no.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah. I'll defend him to my last breath.
Well, you're in luck. Judy's saying right now in spoilers to retcon Yuma to be Filipino.
Oh my god.
No. Really? You know, that actually sort of makes him more in character for his bio. Something about Filipinos is deranged. But
Okay.
yeah, do you want to describe what his bio is about a bit?
Huh? Oh, what I think about Yuma?
Yeah, well, his kit, his bio, his art, anything. Really. Well, primarily his kit, obviously, that's what the discussion's for.
Oh, okay. So, oh, right. The reason why about the Filipino thing is that, like, I think guild masters are supposed to be, like, biracial or something. So, right, like, Claude's, like, Italian or something. So, yeah. That's, like, a guild master thing or something.
I actually didn't notice that until you mentioned it, but I kind of see it.
Yeah. Yeah. What else is there? So Yuma kit-wise, I actually enjoyed using Yuma quite a bit. Like, I think the fact that his tenacity strengthening, on paper, I was just kind of chill about it because at most, if you get it off, it's just like another free buff. But I think it's actually pretty cool because it sort of makes tanks more useful, I think, right? Because their defensive buff is now like an offensive buff as well. So I was using like Summer Tinglos with Yuma, and there's actually quite a bit of damage now since you get 3 times damage from Summer Tinglos' stuff. What else was there? Oh right, one of my favorite units, Summer Tajikarao, actually has this phase start tenacity, which is kind of memey. So he actually does a lot of damage due to that.
Oh,
tenacity
right.
strengthening.
There's actually quite a few
Know that
units.
he has that? I did not.
Yeah, I was looking it up. There's a lot more units than I remember having tenacity to self and allies.
Oh yeah, I looked it up, and I kind of vaguely remembered that Summer Tajikarao had like some weird thing like that with tenacity. So yeah, I did refresh my memory for that. The last one is Kersha, which was in the farming video that I made because I wanted to show how you could buff Oscar's damage with Kersha's crit plus crit and the tenacity that he gets when missing. So Kersha is really good. I don't think it was said right. So
Yeah, not yet.
yeah. Kersha now becomes like a 15 times, 12 times damage like multiplier if you get the crit plus crit and the tenacity off.
It essentially
So
just
that's
becomes a Lian
more-
and as long as Yuma's on board, but for the entire team.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's pretty good. So if you can get it off, and that's on top of Yuma also giving limit, so if you can get the stuff off, then it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I
surprisingly
mainly
a lot
like
of
Yuma for that.
surprisingly a lot of synergies among this new semester batch.
Yeah. So I mainly like Yuma for that tenacity strengthening, hit wise. I think it's an interesting thing which to like transform, I guess that's sort of a pun, but the defensive units into offensive buffers as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
For
of it,
the turn one, for the turn 1 CS, it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's definitely better than Christine, like just like CS effect wise, but
too. Christine doesn't have any native damage buffs, right? It's just weakness, right?
Yeah, I think she just spreads weakness.
just has weakness.
Okay,
The
so
exception is that she can equip that limit AR, which I do use, but yeah.
right. Well, Yuma still has the opportunity to be stronger, even at base level, as long as you move him for the tenacity. But if you don't move him, then yeah, it'll just depend on the scaling of the charge.
Yeah, I think the only trade-off is that Christine has very consistent damage just because of all range.
Oh yeah, that's true. So
Aside from,
Yuma's
like,
not
the
maybe the best
random,
against
like-
wood.
Yeah, like aside from the random like infinity or like 0 unit null, whatever they call it nowadays, variation, Yuma might get like hit by some world or wood unit that might not be so great for the first turn CS. So yeah, that was basically it.
All right. What do you think, Selgus?
On the subject of Kersha, I did actually test some stuff with the tenacity, and it's good in theory, but it can be difficult to actually get Kersha to miss to give tenacity, which kind of sucks, because if you're moving him, he'll be short range, so you have to miss the short range if you also want the crit on top of tenacity, which is a shame, because
Yeah.
it's kind of hard in the seed quest, for example, where in some phases you can't miss, which sucks, but yeah, it is a nice thing, or a nice synergy with Kersha. I just threw around the idea in my head of a entirely new semester team of like centered around buffing Oscar, of like Yuma, Kersha, and maybe Amduscias to give him vigor limit, tenacity, crit. It'd be absolutely ridiculous.
Whoa.
You know, I'll
Yeah,
get
I think
Hold your points for when we're talking about Oscar. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I have plenty of points. But yeah, I like Yuma well enough. His tenacity strengthening is unique. Tenacity had always been one of our most common buffs. The Blood of the Beast can attest to that. It's kind of funny actually. I looked at the list for Tenacity, and Blood of the Beast took like the first several scrolls to go through.
Yeah, lots of nice.
But yeah, Tenacity is very common. So, finally Shino can do damage, except not really because the limit is stacks, or it doesn't stack because he already has limit. But yeah, I do enjoy that his 3-star does still have the Tenacity strengthening at least, even if it's reduced in effectiveness. He can only buff one person instead of the entire board, but it can still be played around.
You can use Shino as a column clear that buffs his allies left and right of him, because he gives Tenacity to units left and right too.
Wow.
Finally.
It's like a shitty Christmas nomad. Thank God.
I'm sorry, not everyone has Christmas Nomad and Summer Shiva, okay? We have to make do somewhere, right? For those that weren't as lucky. I know like some of you are tired and just use Summer Shiva. I don't have Summer Shiva. Let me just cope with these like units that aren't quite as good but still useful. Jeez. Anyways. Need to get off my chest. There's a good amount of other units. You guys already mentioned Tajikaro and Ahab and Tinidlos and even Shino. But beyond that, there's Alp. Apparently he gives Tenacity. I forgot about that. At like in the same kind of trigger as his Ardor and Crit. And then there's a Jamboree Shiro. If you remember, he had that shit thing where he could give limit only when he was less than 50% HP, but Tenacity when it was higher. Well, guess what? Now it can be offensive too. So Shiro might actually be quite good now with Yuma as a result. Since what's up?
This is like actually pretty interesting because Tenacity strengthening is like 3 times the damage, right?
Yeah.
So when Jamboree Shiro's limit takes over, it's supposed to be like when he's like half HP. So at that point, limit will also be at like 3 times the damage or more. So you're not losing damage ever with the Jamboree Shiro.
It just works out. They're meant to be. But I thought that was interesting, even though, as usual, I have none of these units, but I'm going to mention it anyways. Apparently Jormungandr also gives Tenacity on face start to allies as well as himself. I completely forgot about that, but it's just like adjacent or some shit like that. Permanent Aizen, if you still use him for whatever reason. Permanent Tagaroa too. And Horkei Okami's permanent 5-star. Yeah. There's also a few random units that have it too that you might want to use.
This must be the better Tenacity strengthening.
Yes, the better
stupid old one.
I'm just fine.
I still say no to Tangaroa. his Tangaroa being adjacent is so stupid.
It is. I mean, he
just came out and
he's like bigger, right?
Where
he can kind of work as a damage dealer now with Yuma, maybe.
Isn't it Father, like the Triton skill?
Yeah, I think it's Ardor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tangaroa's Ardor. Vigorous is Cannon for.
Yeah, he's not great, but he'll be slightly less not great with Yuma. Other than that, there's the permanent Balords. Apparently they have turn start Tenacity at a 60% rate, which since he actually is a decent board wiper if you want to suffer through all those buffs going off and being refreshed, then yeah, Balord's an option. And apparently, sometimes I forget this because it's so random, but Jirong has Tenacity to self on phase start like just once, so it's very bizarre. But he could use it too, technically. Other than that, you guys mentioned Oscar. I'm not sure if any of you mentioned Shalotl though, since you'll be moving Yuma anyways for the Tenacity. Given you don't have any other Tenacity stars. Since you'll be moving him, you might as well use Shalotl too to amplify the damage even further.
I think like the slight problem with that is that if you're using Yuma, you usually use him in like these like board wiping spam compositions, and the only turn 2 board wiper that we have is like Christmas Jurong and like maybe Beach Kotaro if you equip some of the R in him.
Yeah.
And then Ocean Gelato just doesn't really do anything for those 2 people. Well, I guess Kotaro's like crit plus honesty, so maybe it'll work for him. I don't know though.
we certainly need more turn 2 board wipers, but I think both Oscar and Yuma are just healthy so that we can have more turn 1 options. Particularly Oscar, since he seems to set up the way for, well, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but he seems to set up the way for a multi-board wipe span. We'll talk about that more when we get there, though. So, I think we have covered everything we want to say about Yuma. Cute guy who has a what's called power creeping kit. You can read out the chat now if you want. Harvey, go ahead.
Do I have to read the horse comments?
You do. You really do.
Okay.
When you see the horse, you have to neigh.
I will not be doing that, actually.
Okay.
At least make them a pony. How hungry? Horse emoji. Sorry, not sorry, Gyro. Yuma, the unit who can finally make Oz break the game, implying Oz didn't already break the game. OG Oz. Finally, the best boy loop banner. Agreed. We love the king that craves from strange midnight snacks. You mean the unit that makes OG Tangaroo worth anything? No. You mean like a gremlin? Also, can't really unsee him as a budget Fushi with that 3x multiplier buff.
Oh yeah, about that. I'm glad Yuma exists for the tenacity thing, because it is like Fushi, but I don't know, it seemed like there was a large gap between board wipe buffers and, 4 stars versus 5 stars. Because 5 stars, we had a few excellent ones with Yoritomo and Fushi, and what's it called? Then a few other conditional options down like with Oscar. But our best option was board wipe buffers for 4 stars was Anchor Strengthening at 1.5 times for 2 turns for fucking Smoky. Gosh, it was really shit. I don't know why it took so long to finally get at like some good fucking damage buffs from 4 stars, but I'm glad Yuma's here for that.
Also, tenacity strengthening for the blood of the beast. Yeah, there's like a lot of units with that skill. We should get more skivas for those types of units. I've been doing Oscar with Yuma and Soul Gem daily, and it works pretty good. Yeah, his evasion piercing is actually like pretty clutch because you don't need to like use an AR or a specific unit for that. And I think like the first phase of that that specific quest has like some RNG with Jalodal, so that's nice. Yuma's so cute, I agree. My Christine is SA 71, so how many Yumas do I need to be stronger than her? I have no clue. Yuma could be half Therian, less. Trans Therian. If Yuma had literally almost any other weapon type, I'd like him, but he has no column clearing capabilities after turn 1. That was significant investment.
That's... I don't know. I feel like that's just being too reliant on... They have to be a good, what's called, grinding unit in every aspect, otherwise they're not good. But, like, let's be honest, he's an all-range unit. Like, his long slash is second rate, his turn 1 board wipe. And, plus, actually, now I remember this, he said it was kiting, but it's not really kiting because he has to hit them, and he's long slash. So it's more like preventing them from, like, moving away, right?
Well, it's like confusion prevents like the moving to the side thing, right? So if you're like, you can kind of like maybe stall if you're like moving him away. It's kind of fucked though if you're in that position.
Okay, maybe I can kind of see it.
Also, this comment sounds like someone who doesn't have any con clears, so F in the chat. Well, it's like he's a supportive board wiper, right? So it's like if he did have like inherent damage, I think he'd be
worse
way
with
too
the supportive
strong.
abilities if he like to compensate. Yeah, it's great that he's a board wiper and then he's functional. I think that's the main point to take away from Yuma. It's not that he's just a turn 1 board wiper. It's just that he's not dead weight right after like Christine is. He can do other stuff that is also, damage amplifying.
Yeah. Meh, we already have an amount of good column clearers vertical maps. I guess it's time for more wide map clearers. Yes, please. Wide maps are so fucking awful to play on. We need units that can deal damage to enemies in other phases now. Make your 3-phase fight into 1 phase.
Very true.
Use Tendolos, and you can stall their CSs as long as you want. Gene Slurper. Checkmark emoji. Oh, Yuma plus Halloween Alp are crit armor dislike plus Cooney Benton air dislike plus CS plus 1.
You did not actually just count the dislike buff.
I mean,
Like, really?
I think Halloween Alp's buffs are more than enough for Yuma to like really pop off, but you do you. Yuma the Furry. There's a few of them in this game, huh? I just thought about using Yuma with Shiva, but then I forgot that he would lose tenacity. I don't see where you're going with this.
Does he
Just
even
put
have
Yuma
tenacity at all?
Shiva.
Oh. Huh. Well, you have another option, and that option is Oscar, but we'll get into that later.
Everyone
Just
wants to
put
talk
Yuma
about
after
Oscar.
Shiva. I mean, before Shiva. He is like the king of this banner, dude.
Okay. Very lucky he's excited.
Shiva. Shiva clears the tenacity buff that he would receive. Listen, I have X Benton, Valentine Itzy, J Shrew, Summer Oz, and both Shiva kills everyone in combos. I need good reasons to use other units at this point.
If you don't have the
Okay.
good units, then you can use these. I don't know what to tell you. Not everyone's so lucky, jeez. But yeah,
When
Jamboree
you get
Shield.
tired of hearing Shiva screaming.
Yes, I do actually.
You blue barrel. Alright, Shiva's turn. I'm gonna take shit from you.
Okay, we're moving on now. So, we'll now be covering the final topic of this batch. This is going to be Oscar Proud from the Proud family. You can cover this whenever you want, Salgus. Also, let me know when you want me
No,
to...
not Oscar Proud.
Let me know when you want your slide in, just... but yeah, go ahead.
Alright, here is the man of the hour, Oscar. He is very, very dashing, and I think he's very handsome. I should have told you to use the art where he's not got his mask on. Anyway, so first of all, he's immune to all skill locking effects, bind, skill lock, double locks, and that's always nice to have. I wouldn't say it's that relevant these days, but you know, when it is, it'll be relevant, which would be nice. Face Start Glint at 90%. Most of his skills are actually 90% anyway, so this is nice for filling up the gap without seeding. I mean, the Glint can always fail, of course, and then you're left with 90%. And maybe slightly less incentives to skill seed, but I mean, personally I skill seeded him anyway, so the 90% are just 100%, don't have to rely on the Glint. Right, anyway, so Oscar has 2 mutually exclusive modes, decided by if you move him or if you don't move him. His after move side is a bit smaller and is kind of less interesting if you ask me, so I'll cover that first. His movement side is basically completely defensive oriented. First of all, he has increased Omni movement, much like Leonan and Ghost. This is always nice to have, of course. It makes positioning much easier and faster, as anyone who's used Leonan should know. It's a lot of her power, since it just makes you able to just zoom across the board wherever that you please. Right, so for the first 4 turns of the entire battle, not a phase, when Oscar moves, he will grant damage reversal to himself at 90%. He will also grant it to adjacent allies, but it's at a much lower rate of 40%. Damage reversal basically acts as complete immunity, because, well, it's better than that actually, because it heals you instead, and it'll probably heal you to max HP depending on how much damage the enemies are doing. So Oscar can act as a pretty decent tank for those first 4 turns, because he really can't be killed. He can't be binded either, so it's not like they can stop him from doing that. But you will need to keep in mind that you can't let him get immobilized by fear or paralysis or something like that, because then he'll be stuck, unable to move, and unable to trigger his damage reversal, and he'll be a sitting duck, probably in the front row. So yeah, be mindful of that. And also take care that he doesn't get remove buffed, since that will also make him defenseless if it removes the damage reversal. He also grants HP loss reversal to adjacent allies on move. He always grants this, not on like a timer or something. It doesn't grant it to himself, mind you. So as a reminder, this skill causes, or this buff causes skills that deal flat damage to heal instead. There's only one other unit who grants this currently, and that's Hermes. And he only does it on phase start, so Oscar is our first unit to be able to do it on demand. So this will be useful for any enemies who inflict flat damage against your team. So someone like Smoky God, for example, if you hit him, he'll deal flat damage to you, and you can just reverse and make him heal you instead. It's also useful for your units on your team who inflict flat damage to themselves. So for example, Tindalos, he becomes essentially unkillable while he has his evasion. Because normally he loses like 600 HP when he gets hit, but if you have HP loss reversal, he'll just heal for 600 HP instead and negate the evasion damage, so that'll be good. There's also Nobumichi from the previous banner. He constantly reduces his own HP on enemy turn start, so this would make it a lot easier to keep his HP at 100% for his evasion spam, since then you'd really only need to heal the single digit damage he takes. And he'll do that on his own with Blessing. Unfortunately, due to the skill order, that is, he takes damage or heals on enemy turn start, and then they'll hit him and deal single digit damage, so you will need to heal that up, but he has Blessings or whatever. There's Wolf, who takes damage when he's debuffed, and can similarly benefit from healing reversal, because he's tanky as long as he has debuffs, so he wants... and he wants more of them on him to act as damage buffers, but the flat damage from being debuffed and will slowly kill him, but if he has HP loss reversal, he'll just heal instead. So yeah, etc, etc. Anyone who takes a significant amount of flat damage and you want to negate that could enjoy this. He also gives spirit to self and allies once you're out, who cares. And yeah, so after turn 4, you'll really just be moving him around for the HP loss reversal or the Omni movement positioning, if you're moving him at all. It's kind of unlikely to really be worth it unless you're hinging on some sort of tank setup, like the aforementioned units who like kill themselves with flat damage and you really need that HP loss reversal. Or if the enemy has a lot of flat damage, I guess, which, I mean, we haven't had that in a while, but could be interesting to counter that. He also applies Drain when enemies hit him, which is not especially useful, because Drain is poo. It can be useful for draining CP, I guess, but whatever. Right, so moving on to his other mode, which is when he is unmoved, and this side is all about the offense. As a reminder, when unmoved means you can't displace him with someone else either. He has to remain where he is from start to the end of your move phase. Although I will note that you can move him with Boogeyman, as in pulling him in. I did test this, that Boogeyman can pull him closer and he'll still count as unmoved, luckily. So that could be something to consider for certain strats.
Yeah, test that. Isn't that made obvious a long time ago? And we tested it several times before too.
Yeah, but I wanted to be sure, and it couldn't be bothered to ask someone else, and so it was faster for me to just test it myself. I don't want to ask. Anyway, so when he is unmoved, he'll do several things. He'll deal 1k flat damage to the entire enemy board, which is it's such a comically low amount of flat damage, but I don't think it'll be relevant most of the time. Like maybe if the enemy is some kind of meme evasion team, but there are tons of other ways to inflict flat damage, but I guess this also works, since it's essentially unconditional. He changes himself to all range. He inflicts a unique debuff onto enemies, causing them to take double damage from all range. If his HP is full, then he will grant himself and allies around himself Ardor, and if it is turn 1 of the entire battle, he'll grant crit to allies adjacent and self, except the ally in front, so left, right, and below. So right away it's pretty obvious that Oscar's got some good potential for board wiping. He has a fairly effortless condition to gain all range, and he grants both a unique buff and Ardor, giving him a multiplier of 4.8. And he has a pretty good attack stat of 5.1k. It's pretty up there. It's not like the highest. Highest is like around 6k with like Fashion Wakan, but still Oscar's attack stat of 5.1 is plenty enough. And he's also infernal, so that grants him extra damage against many enemy types. Fuck Valiant though. So without his crit, he'll be dealing 3.7k damage, that's with the infernal bonus, and with crit it's 14.9k. So while his turn 1 burst is fairly significant for someone who doesn't need to move, his turn 2 and beyond damage sounds a bit low. However, the advantage is that Oscar doesn't need to move to access any of his damage. Other all-range nukers generally do need to move, so for example, Summer Shiva has to move to access any of his damage buffs, his Ardor limit, his burn. Summer Oz has to move to grant his weapon change and his Ardor to someone else. Kalki needs to be debuffed, etc, etc. The only one who kind of does a similar thing without movement is Christmas Ben 10, since she loads herself up with Ardor limit and Vigor, and she doesn't need to move for that. So yeah, Oscar's like one of the few, or one of the only, really, all-range units who's free to be buffed by some other movement unit to buff his damage, like Mephisto or Lianan or Kersha. With Mephisto and no crit, Oscar will be dealing 22k, 22.3k, which is pretty significant to do every turn fairly effortlessly. Oscar also isn't hindered by Mephisto's price of contract because his important skill triggers are all if unmoved, which takes place after on-move skills. So Mephisto can refresh his contract before he gets penalized for not having it. So that's a nice synergy there. So yeah, Oscar's a pretty accessible all-range nuker, but he really needs support to really get his damage going. If there's no one else buffing him, then his damage is a bit unimpressive. But it's his ease of use that I think is his real draw there. So while initially it might seem like he's just good for helping himself, his all-range enemy debuff is actually good for any other all-range unit. It's basically just a global debuff that is always going to be up, has pretty good uptime. It has a 90% rate, but as long as he's not moving, he's just inflicting it to the entire board, and it lasts for 3 turns, so you're probably going to have it up. That's a 2 times damage buff globally. So it works for anyone like Summer Shiva or pairing someone with Summer Oz. And of course Christmas Ben 10, who is like Oscar before Oscar. And also for all-range CS nukers. What?
It also works for regular Shiva, apparently.
Oh yeah, it's an irremovable debuff, so yes, he can help regular Shiva. I didn't really talk about it much. It's all about Summer Shiva.
I mean, usually he's out of the picture for these talks, but now we have another Fushi that he can be brought with. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's an irremovable debuff, so enemies can't really counter it, or they straight up can't counter it. And yeah, regular Shiva can benefit from it since he won't purge the debuff when he CS's. And yeah, he can also work with all-range CS nukers like Perun, Summer Kotaro, Christmas Jurong. And for the situations where those units don't have Ardor, Oscar can also provide that for further damage. Unfortunately, Summer Oz already provides Ardor, and Summer Shiva already also grants himself Ardor, so it's not applicable to those two. Or Christmas Benten, who also has Ardor, so it's a bit more limited in that respect, but like, yeah, Perun or Kotaro, they will be able to benefit from that Ardor. There's plenty of other units as well, Christine, like Yuma. So yeah, Oscar can act as a nice support for other all-range units and not just himself. And yeah, Ardor spam, even if it's not all-range units, it's nice because it's just constant buff uptime. He has a few more skills on attacking. He drains the enemy's CP by 12 after attacking. That's nice to have. He'll be globally draining CP, which is cool. And after attacking, 10 CP to self. This one's the real gem of these two skills. Oscar's CS is really strong, and he'll be hitting a lot of units, probably, because all range. And he'll need to hit around 9 enemies to gain his CS, and all range means he's going to be constantly just granting himself CS, CP, so yeah. So Oscar's CS is all range, apply weakness and break on hit, and deal 2 times damage to weakness. So this CS is a absolutely massive nuke. Because it has that bonus against weakness that auto applies, besides like weakness resistance and nullify debuff, the base multiplier goes from 4 to 8. So SA level 1 weakness and break is 1.2x, which isn't that great, but all that together brings it up to a 11.52 times multiplier just from the CS damage, and that's without accounting for Oscar's regular buffs. So assuming SA level 1 with Ardor, the all-range weakness, and without crit, Oscar deals 28.5k damage, so that's quite a lot for basically not buffing him at all. And you know, there's plenty of other buffs to go with him. He also scales very, very well with SA level. Break and weakness and the base CS multiplier will all be going up with each copy of him, so any copy you get of Oscar will increase his damage by a lot. I can't be bothered to calculate at each stage, but the SA 100 version does 228.6k damage, which is 8 times as much damage. So just imagine the numbers just scale heavily up to that 228k damage. So it's a lot. So if you have copies of Oscar, you know, enjoy the nuke. I saw someone who got SA 61 Oscar, which sad because they wanted Amduscias, but also good for them. You can bring up the skill slide thing now, or whatever, synergy slide thing now. So for units who go well with Oscar, it really depends on what you want from him. If you want him for his personal damage, he needs buffs, so you want to just bring someone who can give him high damage buffs. Mephisto's my go-to because Contract also grants CP and lasts 2 turns, which gives me time to move someone else if I need to. Contract's also basically one of the biggest multipliers he can get, since Oscar already has Ardor. No one else is really going to grant him greater than 6 times multiplier. Also of note is that Mephisto doesn't drain Oscar's HP, which is important. Yoritomo grants Limit and Ardor, and he does that both without moving. However, Limit and Vigor, both without moving. But Yoritomo also reduces the HP of units in front of him, and that's a problem because Oscar needs 100% HP to trigger his own Vigor, so Yoritomo will actually stop Oscar from triggering Ardor before he even gets a chance, because Yoritomo does that on turn start, and Oscar does it when he's unmoved, so he'll already have lost HP. It can work, but you'll need to plan around either him not having Ardor, or you'll need to mitigate it somehow, which I don't know how you'll do that. Rather, you can use like Hermes for the reverse damage, which could work, I guess. Yeah, Leonan can work as always. What are you doing?
I was just
like,
looking at the
taking it up and down. You didn't do that. But yeah, Leonan can work as always. While she also reduces Oscar's HP, she's granting him Ardor anyway, so it's not really a problem unless you want Oscar to buff other people with Ardor, which, I mean, that might happen, but if you're trying to turbocharge Oscar, probably not. Leonan also grants CP, so that's nice too. Kershaw grants Crit Plus or Crit, and also has extended horizontal movement, and his Crit has a large range, and that's important because if you're using support Oscar, for example, some of these plans can be quite a pain to deal with. Yoritomo and Mephisto wouldn't be able to get behind a support Oscar very easily, or, you know, at all in a wide map, but Kershaw doesn't care about that because he can buff him from the sides or above, so that's something to consider. Valentine's Zamna for his unique damage buff is Crit Plus CP, and Fushi, as always, can grant concentration and his what's it called, his non-obstruct weakening, and you know that'll always be useful. Although he has the same problem where he can't really get behind Tyndall or Oscar if he's on support, but I don't have that problem. although there is some problems with positioning because Oscar needs to stay unmoved, and it makes it harder for Fushi to move away to, lessen his obstruct range. But, that's stuff you'll have to plan around. Tindalos can also kind of be nice to use with Oscar as a mutually beneficial arrangement, where Tindalos gives Oscar Berserk Plus and the use of his Stigma, but he also benefits from his all-range defense debuff. So the Nukas will be the next set to talk about. So for all-range attackers, Tindalos, Samakotara, Perun, Christmas, Zhurong work for CS damage. Kalki can be nice if you can get Kalki's.
I brought this slide up when you were talking about it first, if you don't want to be redundant about it. For all three categories, yeah.
I wasn't even looking, but I can talk a bit more in detail about some things I didn't mention. Like Kalki's nice, particularly if you can get his weapon change going, because Kalki benefits from that, but Kalki also doesn't have Ardor, and Kalki can grant Oscar Vigor, so they can buff each other a lot. Literally anyone with Summer Oz. I don't really expect anyone to use Oscar for his defensive capabilities because it's more fun to blow things up. But yeah, like I said, those three would work well because of the HP loss reversal. Alright, I forgot to add to this. Like Harvey was talking about earlier, Yuma's got some nice synergy. Unless you want to talk about that in a bit. Actually, yeah, I'll just let you talk about Yuma in a bit, Harvey.
Okay.
Right. For ARs, Oscar's got a decent variety for you might want to use with him. The Free Crafters after school workshop one means Oscar can spread Guts resistance wherever he pleases, because all range. Maybe you use that with Valentine's Jacob for buff reversal, global buff reversal. The Fluffy and Furry Magic Show inflicts confusion onto enemies on hit and left and right of them. It's a low base rate of 40%, but it's a useful affliction, and Oscar can just spread it globally easily. Eyes on the Prize and the Strength I Dream Of, if you want to beef up Oscar's CS. The second one, the Astarte one, Strength I Dream Of, also inflicts oppression in a 3x3 in front of Oscar, so that could be nice if, for example, you want to just keep enemies away from Oscar or hold them still. A place where cats can dream synergizes nicely with Oscar. It provides HP and CP to self when not moving, and that's probably what Oscar will be doing. It was also a free AR, so it should really be maxed for, or close to it, for the 100% trigger rate. And Sauna Etiquette can also provide healing, but on hit. It's a shaky rate, but if you get one successful proc, then it'll match Cat's Dream. So yeah, that can easily heal him. I should go over 3-star Oscar. 3-star Oscar is kind of similar, but he basically loses all of his personal offensive buffs. He doesn't have the global all-range debuff, and he has no Ardor to self. He still grants Ardor to allies, but it's only adjacent. This is actually one of the only practical methods of getting Ardor onto allies for 3 stars without moving. Most of the other options for granting Ardor are on move. The ones who aren't, which are Tida and Claude, are pretty low rate, and also that requires using Claude at 3-star, or Claude at all, so really it's just Tida that's the option. Oscar can provide that pretty unconditionally. It's a 70% rate, but it's much better than 40% rate that Tida and Claude have. He also can still grant the HP loss reversal thing. He unfortunately loses the damage reversal, which is a shame. I would have preferred it to give you at least one turn of it, but whatever. 3-star Hermes can also grant HP loss reversal, but again, Oscar is able to do it on demand. Unfortunately, he loses his omnidirectional movement, so no zipping across the map as a 3-star. And he still does his weapon change all to self at 100% rate, so you can still buff his attack and buff stack him. It'll just be a lot less effective because he doesn't have his own Ardor and he doesn't have the all range debuff. And his CS functions in a similar way. It's just weaker. You only have weakness, and the weakness bonus is 1.5 times instead of 2 times. You're unlikely to really use Oscar 3 as a primary damage dealer because his offense is just so much lower. It'll be nice for me though because 3-star meme runs. Yeah. So in conclusion, I really like Oscar. He's a fairly versatile unit. He's got this dual role as either a primary attacker or a supporter, and I guess a lesser role as a defensive unit if you want. And I'm sure he'll enable some pretty fun things. And also I just think he's really stylish and quite handsome. Alright, I should also compare him a bit more closely to Christmas Ben 10. So they're both similar to each other in quite a few ways, but there are a few key differences. Christmas Ben 10 starts with Vigor, Ardor, and Limit, and Oscar starts with Ardor and All Range weakening onto the enemies. Ben 10's damage is 5.1k, and Oscar's is 3.7k, besides turn 1 with crit. The advantage Oscar has is that he's got access to far more buffs, because he's not already using Vigor and Limit, unlike Ben 10. And Oscar's attack stat is a decent amount higher. It's like a 730 damage higher. And however, the biggest advantage I'd say Oscar has is that his CS is actually all range and it's designed for attacking. Ben 10 also builds up her CP fast because, like Oscar, she gains CP on attack, but her CS is magic range, so she can't continually all range nuke. But Oscar can do just that. In fact, he does even more damage on CS. This is kind of like the Amduscias Jiangxi Tetsuos thing, where Jiangxi Tetsuos can remain in magic range, but Amduscias cannot. Oscar's element is also of consideration because it means he can equip the Ellie Tsukuyomi seed boosting AR, and that makes him a viable support unit for seed grinding. And last but minor point is Oscar's permanent and Christmas Ben 10 isn't. I don't know how relevant that is really, but it does make it more accessible in that respect. So yeah, that's how I compare him with Christmas Ben 10. I think he's just a lot more versatile than she is. And yeah, that would be about it.
That was a lot. Okay. Thanks, Algus.
Maybe too much.
Maybe. Leave some crumbs for the rest of us, won't you? Alright, what do you guys think, Harvey? It seems like you have something to say.
He's making up for, like, my 10-minute presentation on Yuma.
Honestly, I felt like my presentation was short. Well, that's more, at least the discussion part. What can you do when you have a meme unit?
Right. In regards to that Yuma synergy, so Yuma's like kind of like this automatic Christmas nomad / storytelling that he gives limit like to the ally next to him. But like it's interesting because unlike those two units, he doesn't actually drain HP, so he doesn't interfere with Oscar's Ardor at full HP. So I think LifeWonders is trying to like open up these new teams where you don't need to use like these HP draining supports, so that's kind of cool. I think the one caveat is that if Yuma's like next to him, then it's kind of like hard to put tenacity on either of them because your other allies are gonna be on the other side of the map. But other than that, yeah, I think Oscar's like this pretty good unit. The only thing I hate about him is that he'll enable Shiva strats even harder, but I guess that's the price you have to pay for like better board wiping teams.
Yeah, I kind of like how he's designed around just making board wipers overall, or like, you know, all board wiper team more viable. Simply because of that one effect. A bit hard to say that. But yeah, he's a lot more viable than Ben 10 in terms of what's it called, just having his all range permanently up. And I think that's pretty neat because it's guaranteed even in his 3-star, and that means you could easily just have 3 different damage Empires and even just board wipe with 3-star Oscar if you wanted, if you have the right buffs. And I think that's kind of funny.
I'm sure I'll be doing that at some point.
3-star Oscar with 5-star and 4-star buffers. Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, probably 3-star, but I could do that too.
Any thoughts, Milk? Or do you have anything else to say, Harvey?
Remove Shiva.
Here. I agree.
I agree.
You think Oscar just...
I calculated it.
Yeah?
I calculated it. Shiva, if you have, like, Shiva, Christmas Ryota, Fushi, Oscar, and the Shiva Balor AR, that was like 96k all range damage. Unseated at SALV1. That doesn't include the minus 5k flat damage, so it's over 100k.
I hate this unit so much.
Fair
Yeah.
and balanced.
So yeah, Shiva strats basically broke the 1k threshold unseated. I mean 100k threshold. So yeah, anything under 100k that doesn't have something like all range resistance or whatever is gonna die.
I guess we'll be stuck with Shiva for a while longer. Unless...
It should just...
Imagine Chapter 14 grinding just being like one enemy. And they just have like 1 billion HP. Wouldn't that be something? It's gonna happen.
They should just
You
do
heard it
that
here, folks.
thing they did in that. They should just do that thing in that Nightglow's challenge quest where it was like duo. I think he drains your CP before you get a chance to do anything, and so that'll counter Shiva.
Yeah, but in countering Shiva, you also counter like every other board member in the game. And they don't deserve
It's
that.
fine. Oscar already all ranges. Just use some rolls.
It's also a fucking Christmas Benton buff. I don't want to use her.
Just give the Chapter 14 units
use Oscar instead.
Give the Chapter 14 units resistance to burn and what's called non-buff strengthening, so that their defense goes up by like 100 times if they lose other buffs. There you go, anti-Shiva strats. It's gonna happen.
So
Right?
mad.
Okay. Well, I think we have given all our thoughts on Oscar, which was surprisingly few since Salgus covered it all.
I gave too many.
You might have actually, but it's fine. I mean, Oscar in the end is fairly simple in terms of just being a board wiper. The only like elaborate thing about him is just, there's a lot to talk about in terms of the board wiper culture and environment that he'll be participating in. But he
Yeah,
himself.
he's just got a lot of synergy with like a lot of people.
Yeah, because he does damage buffs as well as board wipes as well, and also gets back as like a periodic charger himself. It's very interesting. He does so much for board wiper, and you get feasible even with board wiper past turn 1 and without discharge if you give him some buffs. But that's neither here nor there. You're free to read out the chat. So go ahead. I believe we're done.
A lot of hidden walls. I should like Oscar more, but I'm pretty meh. Looks wise, I like Oscar a lot. The only adult guildmaster aside Claude is Claude an adult.
He kind
We
of.
both know Claude is not 17.
I mean, wasn't he gonna marry the sea or some shit?
I don't know. Maybe he's just Chuny pretending to be older. Actually, Yas Queen Ellie just died of old age last year. Oh yeah, I guess she could be old because she's immortal or long living anyway. She died as she lived as a queen. The moving also works with Jay Shiro. Oh, you mean like Shiro shoving him along on Phase Star or when appearing or whatever?
Yeah, that wouldn't affect it.
Oh, Oscar here. Why? Because he's good. New semester 2024 will have only all weapon type units, CS included.
That already feels like this meta, honestly, so...
Yeah, we've got a pretty good amount of all range.
And as 2024, it will be all Amduscias. Just watch. All bow type boss colors. It's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, no one really mentioned Hasta from the previous banner. I guess he can work too, but the problem is he kind of kills Oscar, which can be a problem if you want that Ardor. But I mean, they'll benefit from the all range and the weakness and stigma. So again, they can benefit each other. Hello, Abby. No one believed me when I said Shiva was going to potentially be extremely useful for life.
Okay, you say for life, but it was really just the Chapter 13 Blossom quests. It's just that we've been stuck with those quests for like 10 million years now. That's why it feels like that.
I mean, if they just made those bosses have like irremovable shits or all range resistance, it would be better. But yeah, can't be mad at Shiva. Cthulhu started it first. I mean, I feel like that's more a symptom of Lianan.
Yeah, Cthulhu's like dropped faster than Lianan, and Lianan's has been dropped for a while, so that's saying something.
Just keep using all mob teams like you always do. I don't know who does that. I rarely do that.
That'd be Milk.
Imagine not believing a unit that resets the whole board would break the game forever. I mean, it would be fine if you couldn't stack irremovable buffs onto him.
They should give the enemy some irremovable buffs if they want to deal with, total status removal.
I mean, even so, that would still make it harder for everyone else as well, because even if they remove
sacrifices
all the
need to be made, so sometimes everyone needs to suffer in order to bring Shiva down.
They've coded enemies to like resist buff removal before. They can just do
they haven't used that
they
in
could just do that.
Virtual Summer memory. I don't know why they haven't used it in a long time.
Don't know what. Blue Ghost saying hello. Love him. Yes, on moving at face start. I don't know what that's in reference to.
Jamboree Shiro, maybe? I don't know.
Ain't got much to say about Oscar. He doesn't have any real weaknesses besides not wanting to catch multiple damaging debuffs. I mean, he has a problem if he gets hit at all, really, but might as well get rid of weapon types at this point. All enemies and units attack everything.
It does feel a bit like that, to be honest.
I mean, we have Gurangatch and we have Summeralls, so
the new meta. Everyone is all range always.
Oh my god, that'll take so damn long to go through everything. Don't they do unremovable buffs on some high difficulty quests though? I mean, they used to.
Yeah, I think they just forgot to code for that shit or something.
I mean, yeah, it could happen. They could do irremovable buffs, but they just haven't been doing anything with high difficulty quests these days. So, yeah. The problem with nerfing Shiva by making quests like that means you're removing a million other units at the same time with reduced effects.
Sometimes you gotta do that, Irby. Sometimes
I don't think anyone will cry if Aita or Alice gets gutted, alright?
Sometimes everybody has to die in order to restart with healthy gameplay again. Sometimes you just gotta press the kill switch.
I think they should...
oh no, Valentine Shinya can't do his gimmick. Who cares? No one used him.
Just make it so that anti-Shiva resistance.
You can counter specifically Shiva by doing, just non-buff strengthening or what's called burn resistance. You can also do these more general things that penalize anyone. I don't know, just do something at this point, right? But yeah, I am super down for the blow range meta where we just face one enemy for grinding. Let it happen. I'm so down for
that. Possession super strong. Regalia Lost did that. Remade all 80 characters. Heavily nerfed their 3-star unit. That was basically a 5-star. Oh, you mean Vice? Yeah, that was. So for the uninitiated, they did this thing in the second anniversary where they changed a lot of the effects and modifiers of existing units, and basically made it so that a lot of old units were actually competitive. To the point that the main character was a pretty good staple for his content for a while. And I don't know if they would really do that with Housamo, because even in that case, they were very touchy about nerfing anyone, and they only nerfed that 3-star character who they could explain away by saying you got him for free, because you did get him for free. So I don't know if they would really nerf Shiva like that, because Shiva's a 5-star you have to buy. So, or
Look,
buy
I don't
air
think
quotes.
Shiva is okay. I was about to say I don't think Shiva's a problem. I mean, he clearly is, but like, it's not like he's the only unit that's a problem. Like, let's be honest. The Chapter 12 version of Shiva is a Christmas Nomad. He just completely destroys the gimmick of the seed quest grinding there, and then we just like have a bunch of other units that almost are good but not quite. It's just, I feel like it's, at least for Chapter 14, I hope they don't release just a single unit that becomes an essential and makes everything trivial, and then release a bunch of other versions that are slightly worse or not as great. Because I'm down with having a bunch of these alternatives, but for having a unit that just covers everything, like Shiva or Christmas Nomad does, it can make the people who wanted the units most because they're the best end up despising the game. But yeah, I'm really hoping Chapter 14 changes things up for at least the current Edge players. Unfortunately for me, when I finally get to Chapter 13 grinding, I will have to suffer through Shiva a bit or related strategies. Fingers crossed for something better for Chapter 14.
I mean, there's plenty of other strategies you can use for that anyway. It's not just Shiva. There's too many units in Housamo anyway.
Yeah, I've heard you have actually one turn longer in your clear than the amount of phases. And
yeah. Although I had been doing 3-turn clears with Oscar, it would be more reliable if I see the data, but I don't want to do that.
It's time to see data. Let's go. Okay.
Halloween Sandayu was fixed, air quotes. Yes, I guess he was fixed. He was nerfed under the guise of the bug fix. Ask for my supports at Arathon, says Prisma.
Yeah, I've been asking you. I've been using your support sometimes.
Christmas Nomad doesn't even cover all bases like attack debuffs.
They don't even have attack debuffs in like the Chapter 12 quest. The heck? Unless they attack you back, but the point of Christmas Nomad is to one-shot you. And technically, Nomad does have some resistance. He has curse resistance, which is like just icing on the cake at that point.
Just have more ghosts. I mean, this is a single-player game too, so you could always just not use Shiva to never use them, or restart your account if you do have
the
them.
biggest brain strategy.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
You'll enjoy the game more, Irby, if you start from the beginning and not have Shiva. That's how fun works.
True.
Okay,
this is running on over almost a bloody hour for Oscar.
Okay, well, that's not our fault, that's kind of yours. We'll move on to the end of the discussion.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of comments.
They kind of only happened afterwards. But yeah, we'll conclude the stream now. Yeah, that is new semester 2023 in total. We have now discussed both part 1 and part 2. What do you guys think overall, both not just of the part 2 banner overall and its quality, but also this year of new semester in general, as well as this campaign and the art and anything else you want to say?
It could have just been the second banner and it would have been perfectly fine.
That was kind of like last new semester too, I think.
I don't even remember what last new semester was.
The last new semester's part 1 was Turing and Isterville, and like 2 other units, maybe Barong and some shit, I forgot.
Enigma?
Yeah. And part 2 had Takumi Nakata and Perrin, and Hecate and Yoshito.
I mean, I like Turing, so... Then again, it's not like new semester 1 this year didn't have, like, they had some units, mostly like Kershaw, but...
I don't think they are all bad, it's just that, Kershaw is pretty good. A lot of you guys mentioned Kershaw as a recommended unit for buffing, although that's just because Tenacity Strengthening exists now. But, Kershaw's not that bad, it's just that Christmas Nomad exists, so it's hard to appreciate him when Nomad just does everything better.
I mean, I mean, I'm using him without tenacity strengthening right now, anyway, because I don't have 4-star Yuma.
Yeah, neither do I. Thank you very much then for the $20. But yeah, Milk, Arby, speak. What do you think?
Hostile. I still didn't get him. I tried to ticket pull right now, and it just got through for me 3-star.
Oh, no.
Wait, what's your stone count right now, Milk?
It's like 582, 572, somewhere around there.
Ooh.
I can't remember,
Quite the
but it's a
horde.
little under 600.
I'm like
It's
that.
not a horde. I have 0 tickets.
Yeah, I have 0 tickets too. But only because of this fucking part 2 banner. I didn't get any of the 4 stars or 5 stars. Just like a couple 3 stars. So 27 tickets and drain, and only got like 60 stones now. Ugh.
I got the most trash 4 stars on both banners. Like Taro Mighty and then Kenta and then Miniaki.
Yeah, my 4-star luck for this banner was like also atrocious. I got like so many off banners with like Garmer and like Sphinx dupes as well.
My
Oh, I
God.
did get Garmer too. I did. I don't know about Pullmore.
I got a decent amount from the first banner. I was somehow lucky for that, although I didn't get faster than I wanted. The 5-star anyways. Well, you know, I really just wanted 3-star. But for the second one, I got like 5 or 6 off-banner dupes. So, not fun. Oh well.
I think I have like 17 Hosters, 3 stars. After pulling a lot. I have like... It took me a long time to get Pazuzu as well. That was ridiculous. It took me like 500 stones to get.
Oh my
either
God,
Pazuzu
Jesus
or
Christ, he spent a
4-star.
shitload. That was like half your horde at this point. Yeah,
I'm calculating wrong because there's a discount.
but
so,
I don't know how, but like,
I don't know. There's like
this is like a banner
That's a
full of
ridiculous
permanent
one.
units, well, except for Huster. And it's been destroying our hordes completely. It's kind of funny. It's crazy. Yeah,
well, I am pulling for the limited unit, so yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I spent like just 1 multi in the new semester too, because even though the kits are stronger, I just pull for design now because the game's too easy.
Yeah, well,
So,
once you have a
whatever.
setup to 1-turn everything else just seems unnecessary variety, right? I'm still hoping for better variety since I don't have the best choice, but what can you do?
Then I'm anti-Shiva, so my takes on like pulling for meta is not like something that I want to do, because I don't have any of the Shiva Trinity to even start. So whatever.
Oh, God. I know that pain. I only got Shiva off banner, so I was like, okay, I guess I'll be a follower now. It's almost for the best.
Shiva Trinity +1 with Oscar in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Are you at like 0-0 now? Because I assume that you would have pulled for like something on new semester 2 a lot, or did you save a bit?
I wanted to save at least 1 month for the next event, but I don't even know why I'm saving. I should just use it because I want these units, but I know they're unlimited, so I'm just like, I'm gonna get Gurangatch and Yuma in anniversary, because we got a shitload of tickets nowadays in
But
anniversary. Sorry,
But
what?
Oscar's gonna complete your Shiva strategy.
True.
I don't
Isn't
even
he
have Fushi,
optimal?
okay? What the fuck?
And he's right up right now.
I'm good. I'm
Well-
good. Maybe what's it called? No. Actually, there's another reason why I don't want Oscar. It's because I am planning to just bring a support Oscar, because there's like shit for all units that are good for
My
board wipe
support Oscar.
grinding, for that can look up the seed booster unit, because there's not really anything in Nether Inferno. So Oscar's like honestly kind of the first unit that would be useful for board wipe grinding. Well, you know, besides odds, but I have my own, so.
You can run 2 Oscars.
Stop! That doesn't even make sense. Shut up. He already bestows himself crit, and he can. That shit. Okay, just stop. Anyways, that's the main reason why I didn't pull more for Oscar, as busted as he is, because I really, like... Zalgus only said in passing, but I was just like... Awooga, like, Bazonga eyes popping out of my skull when I realized he can equip the C booster. So that's my take, anyways.
Oscar Booba.
Yes.
This is such a missed opportunity. LifeWonders never does good kits, and then you're just gonna pass. Oh.
Yeah. When the last event was Valentine Snow Fight. And then
I didn't even pull. I only spent I spent like 3 or 5 tickets on that. All right, it wasn't much. All right, I know when the good kits are. I spent like, how much did I spend on this? I spent 2 multis on the first one, and like maybe 20 or so tickets, and then I spent like another 27 tickets on this one plus another multi. I only have like 1 multi left. I wanted 60 something stones. It's not much. And again, everyone's
Irby's right. Irby's right. Irby's saying permanent units are more limited than limited units.
Just stop.
Totally right.
I'll just get like fucking off banner either of these Oscar again like 2 years later when I'm doing when the chapter 14 quest comes out. That shit always happens, just like with Shiva. It's fine. I'll be fine. Why are you guys pressuring me? It's not pressuring stream. Anyways,
we're the demons inside your head telling you to pull. Because the next event's probably gonna be fucking night glows.
Oh yeah. I mean, I already have
probably
to.
night glows.
I'll be a good opportunity for me to hoard, because I've been like incredibly low in my hoard ever since Gangster. I've been trying to build it, but new semester kind of obliterated it back to near 0. So time to build it up again. Anyway, yeah. I'm not sure if you guys could tell, but we're having good fun with how strong these units are. Hopefully, chapter 14 will turn out better though. But yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. That is it for our discussion. I'll just go ahead and read the chat actually before, because he put for it to do that. Where do we leave off? Half pull is nice at least. I didn't indulge in that because I'm a cheap bastard. Maybe one day in the future when I make a bit more money.
No, you missed a few comments. Isn't it after the donation?
Was it? Okay. Can't wait for a Beowulf to be added on the new chapter banner and be busted for everyone's displeasure. Not Beowulf. I don't know. Maybe it'll be like another Marduk. Marduk was pretty strong, wasn't he? Part 1 Blue. Nobumichi might be my least favorite unit in a while. Don't really have strong opinions about the Part 2 units. Got the 4 stars I wanted at least, and the star 4-star Jurong. Well, you know, Jurong is strong even if he is like a super old unit by now. So...
Alright, they changed Nobu's kit, actually, like, a bit after our first live stream.
Yeah. Did you want to summarize it, or should I?
Yeah, so instead of, like, that 40% evasion after attacking for the ally behind him, it's now, like, it turned into crit instead. So, like, he actually has some decent offensive utility if you pair him with like
40% is decent.
All range. Yeah, it's if you give him all range with like, I don't know, Hastur or Kalki, it's all right, I guess. It can be a good meme. You can. I think Milk has better teams for it though.
Yeah. So like, Nobumichi actually isn't immune to weapon change. So when he does the copy buff thing, he's actually a budget Oniwaka 5.
Yeah, not surprised.
Hastur actually pairs well with Kalki because he can auto like replenish Kalki's all range. So I've been using Nobumichi to copy Kalki's
Oh yeah, that's
buffs
actually pretty good
Kalki.
pairing. I'm surprised that wasn't mentioned last time with Hastur. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Kalki's always been
like,
a bit of a joke all-range unit because of his weird condition, but it's more reliable now, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, but Kalki's buffs are also, like, extremely, like, rare. So, Nobu is, like, a really good buff, like, partner as well. Because he can copy the
all-range
attack
from
up and
Kalki.
Berserk Plus.
Yeah.
Well, he also has attack up and Berserk Plus.
Oh,
so
wow.
if you, like, throw Linan in the mix, there's like a bunch of buffs going on. Oh yeah, Kalki's Slash as well, so you can equip the limit AR. So it's actually a fairly good all-range team,
Oh,
even though it's kind of slow since there's 3 all-range units.
I will wait for a demonstration for that. But that does sound like a lot of new units that we haven't used before for all range, so that is intriguing for sure. Yeah. Cool synergy. Permanent units are more limited than limited units. It's not my experience really, but okay. Half first pull is nice at least. Maybe the 150 is more worth it, maybe. I wish it wasn't what's called paid, but what can you do? And at the very least, I can appreciate the business model of it, since there's a lot of people that just don't spend, but some of these might be more enticing between the new monthly packs and now this, with these actually paid discount things, even though it's not really a discount because you end up spending money that you wouldn't have otherwise. New semester units for sure are. I skip if I already have someone somewhere and get. Bye guys, and Yuma's West. See you later, Oddly. You can borrow my Fushi though. The problem is always boosters you can bring in support, right? I would pull for Oscar, but I'm pretty sure that he'll be popular enough support for seed grinding. Back to saving stones for event, Mephistopheles, or Tantam on anniversary. Yep. I still have my 5-star ticket because I'm waiting to get either Yoritomo or Fushi. Just what are you waiting for? Just use it already. What? Oh my god. What's she looking at? Thank you, Prisma.
No, save it. You know they'll spook you if you use it.
Okay, I'm addressing this to you too, Azaga. So use your 5-star ticket already.
No.
See you, Oddly Rival again. Oh, never mind. They're paid. Yeah, never mind about that. Yeah. And bye bye, everyone. Take care from Geezer. Okay, thanks for joining, everyone. Next weekend, we'll likely finally, after delaying it for so long, finish off the Art Tila stream, if that's alright with you, Milk and Harvey. You guys are probably free then, right? Oh, well,
yeah,
we'll see.
It's Sunday, right? So
yeah, Sunday's
it should be fine.
Okay, so yeah, I look forward to that. But yeah, we'll hop off now. So thanks for joining, everyone. Hope you guys found these units as enjoyable as we did, because they are pretty fun, honestly. I have decent hopes for the coming year if what this new semester has anything to say about the coming year. But yeah, let's just say our byes then. On 3, 2, 1. Bye. Bye.